Welcome everyone, my name is Roberto Cibin and it is a pleasure to be here to present our paper titled Land, Water and Sun, Tuning into Socio-Ecological Relations in Radio Design. I am presenting this paper also on behalf of my colleagues. The paper is based also on the help and the contribution of all the colleagues of Grassroots Radio. This was a project within the Horizon 2020 European Framework, ended in December 2020, which included the 8 partners that you can see on this slide. We are inspired by recent critiques of anthropocentrism in design and long-standing critiques based on indigenous ways of being. Building on situated knowledge from an action research, we stress that a greater awareness by researchers and designers of the interdependence between humans and nature can help in making design decisions aimed at counteracting the ecological crisis. The goal of the project was to test and develop a technology that supported the creation and management of community radio stations in small and isolated geographical communities in Europe. The technology, Rutio, is based on the use of a radio antenna, an FM transmitter, and a smartphone. Rutio eliminates the need of having a physical studio. The overall project aim was to support the communities in the creation of the community radio stations, both from the technical and social point of view. The goal was fostering media pluralism, collective action, and the free flow of information, and to learn from the community's members' experiences in using the technology platform. One of the stations was created on a small offshore island in Ireland, in a community of about 200 people. The skyline of this island is dominated by a cross, lit up at night on the highest mountain point. The cross is symbolic of the faith of many islanders, particularly older islanders, who regularly attend Mass as a core community practice considered critical in sustaining the island population. Both the symbolism and geography of this site are now intertwined with the community radio. Being the highest point, the cross site was also chosen as the site for the transmitter, mast and antenna, providing the best vantage point to transmit radio to every household on the island. The power supply was already in place to light up the cross. Here we see our religion, the mountain, and technology interact in the situation, as well as long histories of cultural symbolism and communication. The symbolism of the cross also alerts us to how religion might influence the community radio content itself. For example, Mass is transmitted as the radio is used to extend important community services to those that cannot be physically present due to ill health, migration, or age. Another station is located on a village on the delta of a river, with a population of about 800 people. Due to the particular environment, people are mainly engaged in fishing activities and tourism during the summer. The processes of anthropization over the centuries, and particularly in the 20th century, seem to have seriously jeopardized the survival and the diversity of the village's ecosystem, and new regulations that brought also to the banning of some kind of fishing have been introduced. The effort toward an increased environmental sustainability has created tensions between the inhabitants and the main institutions involved in the management of the area. The fishermen denounce how the new rules and institutional configurations have caused the loss of their traditional economic activity. These decisions were taken without offering any tool for the compensation for these losses, leading to the emergence of a poaching phenomena. The representatives of the Fishermen Association have expressed their interest in using the radio to make their voices and experiences heard, in opposition to the reserve authority and the local administration. The interaction between the delta, the fish, and the humans have also entered in the space created by the technology that was supposed to be used for the station's decision-making process. For instance, the fishermen used the radio management WhatsApp group to stress their critiques against the mayor, accused of not being supportive of their requests. These stories yielded insights about the continuous and mutually defining relationship between humanity, nature, and technology design processes. But how did we manage to become aware of these interactions in our project? At the project's outset, we proposed that collaborative media practices could assist in considering different aspects of sustaining communities, including environmental sustainability. Examination of community members' historical relationship with the environment revealed copious connections between humanity and nature, beyond the simple framing of nature as a resource and community. This motivated us to apply historical and geographical perspectives in our analysis, using the lens of socio-ecological relations. We borrowed the concept of socio-ecological relations from environmental history. Discussing the history of capitalism and the transformations of nature, Jason Moore claimed that, to understand the current ecological crisis, we must consider history as the result of a double internality, humanity in nature and nature in humanity, what we can refer to as socio-ecological relations. It is in the relations between and within human and extra-human natures that change takes place. We add that design becomes part of this double internality so that the change it instigates takes place through design in nature and nature in design. The lens of socio-ecological relation can support to avoid considering nature only as a resource to be exploited, offering an alternative to established Western-centric ways of thinking and working. Western-centric design often prioritizes human agency that projects human power into the future. Indeed, it could be argued that in design practice, relations with nature are typically made less visible than social relations, because a dominant design ontology is oriented towards impulses to colonize and narratives that humans, or at least particular cultures of humans, will prevail over the future. We argue that the observation and consideration of the history and geography of a place can be an important way to sensitize design to critical issues in sustainability and to understand how nature and humans are inextricable and how the design process enters in this relation. By this way, we have been able, for instance, to understand the ecological complexity of the fisherman's issue in our village, where sustainability and livelihood collided. Further, we highlighted that natural materials in rural areas also have histories. Examples include the layers of symbolic meanings present in the mountain's symbolism linked to religion. We provide a set of considerations that can help design researchers, designers, and HCI researchers and practitioners to better consider the role of socio-ecological relations in their work. First, despite the ongoing crisis, visions of technological futures often assume that nature and social relations are stable and that technology is the only element that changes. Our data show how all these elements are closely interdependent and that when doing research or design, we need to be flexible to these changes. Then, we need to make the silent requests of nature and our assumptions about them more visible in design processes using methodologies that support reflexivity. And then, it's important to be aware of nature's layers of symbols and meanings when designing with a community, as the way nature is framed can have unexpected implications for the outcomes of action research and design projects. HCI researchers and designers need to consider how ecological temporalities might affect or shape the design process, both over time and in the everyday rhythm of life. To conclude and summarize, we show how socio-ecological relations performed in specific places shape the design process and are themselves transformed by becoming part of the design process. Thank you for your attention. I invite you to read the paper that you can find at the link indicated in the slide.